How every Amtrak train got its name, Part 2. Click above or below for Part 1. The Downeaster is named for the Down East region of Maine, a name that traces back to sailing terminology. In the warm months, most suitable for sailing, the prevailing winds along the coast of New England and Canada blow from the southwest, meaning ships have to sail downwind to go east. As such, the northeastern stretches were said to be down east in relation to cities to the west, such as Boston. The term down east led to the name of a type of sailing ship developed in Maine in the late 19th century called the Downeaster. Downeasters were a modification of an earlier clipper, with new lines and rigging enabling them to carry substantially more cargo. These were used to transport wheat and other goods from California to European markets, and they feature in the Billy Joel song Downeaster Alexa. Amtrak has been using this name since the train's inception in 2001. The Empire Builder is named after the Great Northern Railway's flagship passenger train, which originally began operation in 1929 and was retained by Amtrak in 1971. It was named in honor of Great Northern Railway founder James J. Hill, who reorganized several failing railroads into the only successful attempt at a privately funded transcontinental railroad, making him the builder of his own personal empire. The Empire Service brand name originated with the New York Central in 1967, and Amtrak restored the name in 1972, although individual trains had their own names for several years afterwards. The name references New York's state nickname, the Empire State, a nickname whose precise origin is unknown, but is often attributed to George Washington in 1785, when he expressed admiration for New York's strength during the American Revolution, and deemed the state the seat of the empire. The Ethan Allen Express is named for American Revolutionary War hero Ethan Allen. Allen is best known as one of the founders of Vermont, and for the capture of Fort Ticonderoga with his Green Mountain Boys in May 1775. His namesake train has been operating since 1996. The Hartford line was named as such in 2019, when the state of Connecticut merged their new commuter service with the Amtrak New Haven-Springfield shuttle under a single name and fare structure. Hartford was named in 1637 in honor of Puritan pastor Samuel Stone's hometown of Hertford, England. Its etymology is "ford where hearts cross" or deer crossing. The Heartland Flyer was actually named in a contest. When Amtrak wanted to revive service along the corridor, then Oklahoma Senator Don Nichols sponsored a contest to encourage Oklahoma schoolchildren to pick a name for the new route. The name Heartland Flyer, submitted by 11-year-old Katie Moore, won the contest, and she got to christen the train on its first run in 1999. British geographer Halford Mackinder first coined the word heartland in 1904 to refer to the heart of the Eurasian landmass, a strategic center of industry, natural resources, and power. Use of the term for the American Midwest did not become common until later in the 20th century. The Hiawatha service is named after the Milwaukee Road's Hiawatha Streamliners, which were among the world's fastest trains in the 1930s and 40s, initially traveling between Chicago and the Twin Cities. The name Hiawatha, in turn, comes from the epic poem The Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, which recounts the fictional adventures of an Ojibwe warrior named Hiawatha. Amtrak began using the name Hiawatha Service in 1972, pivoted to other names between 1976 and 1989, and then returned to the name from then on. Before we continue, do consider subscribing, and if you've already subscribed, consider joining my Patreon. Part 3 of this video is up there right now. Illini was the name of an Illinois Central service between Chicago and Champaign, and Amtrak began using the name in November 1971, discontinued in March 1972, then revived it again in 1973. Illini references the Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which the route serves, and the tribes from which Illinois got its name. Saluki was added as a second daily round trip in 2006, and references the Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, whose mascot is a Saluki dog. The Saluki is a basal breed from the Arabian Peninsula related to the Afghan Hound, making it one of the oldest dog breeds in the world. The Illinois Zephyr is a descendant of the Kansas City Zephyr and American Royal Zephyr operated by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad from 1953 until 1968 and 71 respectively. Amtrak revived the Zephyr name as the Illinois Zephyr in November 1971. The Carl Sandburg was added in 2006 as a second daily round trip, and was named after famed three-time Pulitzer-winning writer Carl Sandburg, whose birthplace of Galesburg is along the route. Trains were an inspiration for Sandburg's The Rutabaga Stories. Written out of his desire for American fairy tales to match American childhoods, these stories are populated with trains, skyscrapers, and the so-called 5 marvelous pretzels. I bet one of them was Snyder's. The Keystone service is the latest of several Amtrak services to use the name Keystone, having borne it since 1981. The name references Pennsylvania's nickname the Keystone State, which refers to its geographical and economic centrality to the original 13 colonies, and for its role in the founding of the United States. A keystone is a central wedge-shaped stone in an arch, which holds all the other stones in place. The Lakeshore Limited is named after a train formerly operated by the New York Central. Amtrak revived the service as the Lakeshore in 1971, canceled it in 1972, and revived it under the original name in 1975. The train's name comes from Lake Erie, whose southern coastline it hugs for much of the route. The Lincoln Service is of course named after Abraham Lincoln, who lived in the state of Illinois from the 1830s until he became president in 1861. He spent some of this time in Springfield, which the train serves. His funeral train even used the same right-of-way as the Amtrak service named after him. This train was named in 2006. The Maple Leaf is named after a Lehigh Valley train which operated between New York and Toronto from 1937 until 1961, though the original train took a more southerly route. The name comes from Canada's close relationship with the maple tree, as evidenced by their use of the maple leaf on their modern flag. Amtrak began using this name in 1981. The Missouri River Runner began in 2009 as a consolidation of 3 existing routes. It was named via a contest run by the Missouri Department of Transportation, with the winning name submitted by Keith Kohler of Glendale, Missouri. The Missouri River, which is the longest in the U.S., gets its name from the Miami, Illinois Algonquian name for a Siouan tribe called the Missouria, which roughly translates to one who has dugout canoes, or people with wooden canoes. Subscribe for part 3, or join my Patreon to watch it now.